what's louder, several inexpensive subs or one expensive sub? Today I decided to compare the Sundown Audio LCS12. This is Sundown's cheapest entry-level sub. They're $125 currently on Down for Sound. Also, these are the version 2. And I'm going to compare it against a Sundown Audio U V2 Series 12. So we're going to compare 4 of these LCS12s versus 1 of these UV2s. Now, I did specifically pick the UV2 because it is kind of known as an SPL sub. It's a very efficient sub. It gets loud on little power. They're kind of a favorite in the car audio competition realm. And so I thought these would be a really good option. These are 1750 watts each. These are rated 300 watts each. They also, I believe, still use the same coil as the E series, which is 500 rated RMS sub. So these are very underrated. But you know how Sundown, anything Sundown makes underrated. Alright, and today I'm going to present a very special formula that you can use to calculate between apples and oranges. So if you're looking at one sub from one company and another sub from another company, you can use this formula. I'm going to bring that up real quick. Here it is. This is from Jacob Fuller. He's probably one of the most well-known in the car audio community. He's done a lot of innovation. And this is what he said. This is from a post from last year. He said, I'll also add a little data point we've tested repeatedly over the years to hold true. The true, as he calls it, awesome SPL factor is BL squared divided by RE divided by MMS. And for the SDDN that they just made, just released, it's a 0.705, which is really high. The higher number, the better. And I'll show you real quick how we do this calculation. Let me go down here to the LCS. And let me grab a calculator. Okay. BL, this is the 12 version 2 is on this right side. So we're going to say 20.073, and we're going to square this. And then we're going to divide it by RE, which is 6.9. See what we got there. And then we're going to divide it by the MMS right here. This is the moving mass of the soft parts. So 152.328. There we go. So 0.38. I think maybe, let me see what I put down on the spreadsheet here. Okay, 0.38. So here I kind of worked the numbers for you so we can talk a little bit about this. The LCS12 is 0.38, which is a pretty decent SPL factor. I've seen a lot of subs actually have some very, very low SPL factors because they have poor BL, which means they don't have really a lot of motor force to them. Now the UV212, I did calculate, it's about a 0.54. That's pretty good. That's the version 2. And we're looking at 4 of these LCS12s versus 1 of the U12. And notice I tried to compare it so we could keep the prices similar and the power similar. But we have $500 for the LCS12s, are $125 each. And then $519 for the UV212. That's current price right now. And we got 1200 watts versus 1750. So it's about 50% more power. Notice down here, I tried to do a little bit of a comparison with the watts. So let's say the LCS12, when you put it in your vehicle, you got a 100 dB at 1 watt. We're just throwing that out there. This is not based on the sensitivity. This is just like once it's in a box, once it's in a car, so you get cabin gain, 100 dB, 1 at 1 watt. Okay. The UV2, we're going to say it's 101 because of this SPL factor. It's got more motor force. So we're going to say it's 101 dB. And it's going to be around that. It's a little hard to go from 0.38 to 0.54 because there's still the factor of you're not just moving soft parts, you also have the air, the load of the air as well. So it's going to be around a dB. It could be a little bit more, could be a little bit less. We're just going to estimate 1 dB. Now we're going to adjust for quantity. So here's the thing. We double the amount of LCS 12s twice. We're going to double it once from 1 to 2, double it from 2 to 4. That gives us 6 dB. Even for the same power, because you double cone area, even with the same power, overall power, you get 3 dB more. And yes, I've tested this. It's true. I think a lot of competitors know this. There's a lot of little secrets here and there. Now, you only got one of the UV212s, so you're at 101 dB. Now let's adjust for power. 1200 watts. We're going to give it this one 50% more power. So we now went up 1.5 dBs. This stayed at 106 because it's we're just assuming that this one's going to have twice power. So if you think about 1.5 watts versus this one at 1 watt. So final outcome, these LCS 12s, if you had 4 of them, would be about 3.5 dB. This is all theoretical. This is all based on essentially guidelines or rules in the car audio, things that we know or have tested. Now, everyone's always going to be like, oh, it totally depends on the box. Yeah, well, let's assume that you have the best box imaginable for both. Okay, so we're not dealing with that factor right now. You are 3.5 dB louder with the 4 12s over the 112. This is their entry-level 12s. That's pretty significant, especially on the meter if you're at competition. If you're sitting in the car, 3.5 dB, it's most people feel like 5 to 10 dB is twice as loud. That's what feels twice as loud. So this would feel like maybe 50% louder, if that gives you an idea. And also consider the fact that you're spending a little bit money for the UV212, and you're also going to have to get more power to push them. So you're spending more on an amp as well. Of course, you are going to spend probably quite a bit more on the box building material for the LCS 12s. Anyways, I hope this helps. Remember that formula. I'll pull it up here one more time, because we're going to be talking about this in the future. We're going to try to compare some other subs versus other subs. So we're going to compare apples to oranges. In the past, all I've done is within the same series, but this lets you start to decide, running calculations, what's going to be louder versus another sub. Now, there is one thing I do want to mention here. These TS parameters, if you're dealing with something like from Walmart or kind of cheaper subs, some of these are just kind of fabricated. Especially Alibaba subs, they're fabricated. They're just not really true. So this really only works if you're dealing with kind of high-end or better known or well-known products that have true information listed in here. So keep that in mind as well. Also keep in mind, if it doesn't list BL, I've seen some subs, and they'll have everything, but they won't have BL, and you know that's probably not good, because BL is really the indicator of kind of what kind of motor strength you're dealing with. So if it doesn't have BL or some of these other items in here, you know you're probably not dealing with a really good product. Or sometimes car audio companies just kind of forget to include that, but that's a red flag. Also, the MMS, I've seen this MMS actually be quite high for some like catalog subs, because they just use the same kind of soft parts and as they do for other subs. So you might be using kind of a heavier cone and everything as they would on just like, because they just mass make them and throw them on everything. And so sometimes catalog subs, that's kind of the problem with catalog subs. There are a lot of good catalog subs out there though. So anyways, I hope this helps, and until next time, cheers.